When you stop explaining, people start respecting. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with a question. Have you ever found yourself trying to explain your dreams, your decisions, or even your existence to someone who just didn't get it? You see, for most of us, our first instinct when someone doubts us is to explain. We explain because we crave understanding. We explain because we want acceptance. And if we're honest, we explain because we fear being misunderstood. But here's the paradox: most people don't realize it, but explaining ourselves too much actually diminishes our influence. It's a subtle signal. We send out a signal that says, I'm unsure. I need you to validate me before I can move forward. When we constantly justify our decisions, our dreams, or even our very presence, what we're really communicating is a lack of confidence. And the truth is, people don't respect neediness, they respect clarity. They respect certainty. Think about the leaders you admire, whether they're entrepreneurs, artists, activists, or public figures. Do they spend time over-explaining every decision they make? No. They move with a quiet, powerful certainty. They know who they are. They know what they believe. And they are willing to let their actions speak louder than any elaborate explanation ever could. Their clarity acts like a magnet, drawing people toward them not because they begged for attention or approval, but because people are naturally attracted to strength and certainty. When you explain yourself excessively, it actually has the opposite effect of what you intend. Instead of convincing others to respect you, you subtly convince them that you aren't entirely sure of yourself. If you need to explain why you're choosing a certain path, why you're starting a new project, or why you're making a bold change, you're telling the world you're still seeking permission. And the moment you seek permission, you relinquish your power. You hand it over to others, hoping they'll give you the green light, but leadership doesn't work that way. Influence doesn't work that way. Respect doesn't work that way. The most powerful individuals operate from a different place. They operate from an internal compass, not an external scoreboard. Their sense of worth is not contingent on whether others nod their heads in agreement. They don't move forward because everyone else says it's a good idea. They move forward because they believe deeply in what they're doing. They are led by purpose, not by applause. That kind of clarity is rare, and that's why it's so respected. It's easy to follow someone who knows where they're going. It's easy to trust someone who doesn't second-guess their every step. In fact, human beings are biologically wired to follow confidence. We seek safety in leadership, and when someone displays certainty, when they exude clarity, it makes us feel safe. It makes us believe that they see something we don't yet see, that they know something we haven't yet understood. Now, this doesn't mean you should be arrogant. It doesn't mean you should refuse to communicate your vision or refuse to share your ideas. Communication is essential, but there's a difference between communicating and explaining. Communication is sharing, explaining is defending. One invites collaboration. The other begs for approval. When you stop explaining and start communicating with clarity, you shift the entire energy of your leadership. You move from defense to offense. You stop reacting to every doubt and start inviting those who resonate with your mission. You stop chasing understanding and start building momentum. People begin to respect you not because you forced them to, but because you earned it by embodying certainty. So the next time you feel that urge to explain, to over-justify your dream, your decision, or your path, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I sharing to invite others along the journey, or am I explaining to seek permission? If it's the latter, take a step back, stand a little taller, speak a little clearer, move forward without needing the applause. Clarity is quiet, confidence doesn't shout, true respect isn't demanded. It's earned through conviction, through clarity, and through a willingness to move forward even when not everyone understands, especially when not everyone understands, because when you stop explaining, you don't just start moving faster, you start leading. And when you lead, respect always follows. When we look at the leaders who have truly left a mark on the world, we notice something profound. They don't spend their energy trying to explain every move they make. They aren't caught up in trying to persuade everyone to agree with them. Instead, they focus on inspiring. They focus on moving forward with such clarity and conviction that others naturally want to follow. It's not about forcing belief. It's about living so authentically and purposefully that belief becomes contagious. Purposeful leaders understand a fundamental truth. Explanation is not the path to inspiration. When you constantly explain yourself, you diminish the power of your message. You water down the strength of your vision in an attempt to make it palatable for everyone. But real leadership is not about making everyone comfortable. It's about challenging the status quo. It's about presenting a vision so strong, so clear, that it calls others forward not because you convinced them with detailed arguments, but because you awakened something inside them. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't try to explain the logistics of how racial equality would happen. He painted a picture of a dream. He spoke with unwavering conviction about a future that many could not yet see. His power wasn't in explaining every step along the way. It was in inspiring people to believe that a better world was possible. His clarity created alignment, and that alignment created movement. Steve Jobs wasn't known for explaining why he made every product decision at Apple. He wasn't in the business of defending himself to critics or skeptics. Instead, he painted a vision of a world where technology was beautiful, intuitive, and a natural extension of our lives. His certainty was magnetic. People didn't buy into Apple products just because they understood every technical feature. They bought into a belief system. They felt part of a movement. The leaders who inspire us are not the ones who explain the most. They are the ones who embody the most conviction. Their presence says, "I know where I'm going, and if this vision speaks to you, come with me." They are not seeking mass approval. They are seeking alignment with those who share the same belief. In doing so, they create something far more powerful than widespread agreement. They create loyal, passionate movements. And that's what we often miss. Trying to explain everything is an attempt to get mass agreement. It's an attempt to please everyone, to make sure no one misunderstands us. But in leadership, trying to please everyone is a recipe for mediocrity. If everyone agrees with you, it's probably because you're not saying anything meaningful. True vision divides. True leadership challenges. True inspiration calls some people in, and naturally, it leaves others behind. The key difference is that inspiring leaders don't panic when they are misunderstood. They don't get defensive. They don't scramble to explain themselves. They stay focused on their mission. They trust that the right people will hear them, and the right people will join them. They trust that their job isn't to convince everyone, it's to stay true to the vision. So if you want to lead, really lead, resist the temptation to over-explain. Speak your truth clearly. Share your vision boldly. And then let go of needing everyone to understand or approve. Because when you stop explaining and start inspiring, you open the door for something far greater than agreement. You create a shared belief. You create a movement. Leadership is not about making everyone comfortable. It's about making some people come alive. It's about igniting the hearts and minds of those who see what you see. That doesn't come through explanation. It comes through clarity. It comes through unwavering purpose. It comes through the courage to speak a vision that matters and to walk toward it, no matter who chooses to follow. One of the greatest shifts a person can make in their life is moving from seeking permission to embodying purpose. So often, without even realizing it, we live as if we are waiting for someone to tell us it's okay to follow our dreams, to start that business, to change directions, to take a bold step into the unknown. We look for signs, for nods of approval, for validation from people who may not even understand the path we are meant to walk. But the reality is, people don't respect permission. Seekers, they respect those who act with purpose. When you approach life by constantly asking for permission, you send a subtle but powerful message that you doubt yourself, that you're not sure whether you have the right to make the choices you want to make, that you need someone else to sign off on your life. And what happens is predictable. People don't rally behind you. They question you more. They hesitate to follow you. They mirror back to you the uncertainty you are projecting. On the other hand, when you move with purpose, when you make decisions based on your inner compass rather than outside approval, something shifts dramatically. You start to generate a different kind of energy, an energy of certainty, of conviction. And people are naturally drawn to that. People respect those who are clear about why they are doing what they're doing, even if they don't fully understand or agree with the actions themselves. Purpose is powerful because it is magnetic. It communicates without words. When someone is acting from deep purpose, you can feel it. Their actions have weight. Their words carry authority. Their presence speaks even when they are silent. And when you move like that, you no longer have to explain yourself endlessly. You no longer have to justify every decision. Your purpose becomes your explanation. Think about the people you admire most. They didn't rise by polling everyone around them and waiting for permission. They acted from conviction. They moved forward even when people doubted them. They took steps that others questioned and sometimes outright criticized, but they stayed true to something deeper inside. They were loyal not to the world's expectations, but to their own calling. The truth is, the more you need external approval, the less internal strength you project, and people can sense that. Humans are incredibly intuitive when it comes to leadership energy. We are drawn to people who seem to know who they are and where they are going. We are repelled by indecision, by insecurity, by constant second guessing. It's not because people are harsh. It's because at a primal level, we seek certainty. We want to follow those who seem sure. When you shift from needing permission to living with purpose, you gain that certainty not because you know every answer, but because you know the why behind your steps. You are no longer asking the world, "Is this okay?" You are saying to the world, "This is what I am called to do. You're welcome to join me if it resonates." That subtle but powerful shift changes everything. You will find that the right people, those who believe what you believe, will come alongside you, and those who don't will drift away. And that's not a failure. That's clarity doing its job. Purpose doesn't attract everyone. It attracts the right ones. It calls in those who are meant to walk with you on your journey. So stop seeking permission to live your life. Stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand the fire inside you. Move with purpose. Lead with conviction. Let your life be the message, because in the end, people respect those who don't ask for approval. They respect those who act boldly from within. They respect those who lead not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Purpose over permission always. There's a powerful image that perfectly captures how true leadership works. A lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It doesn't run up and down the coastline begging sailors to notice it, explaining why it's important. It simply stands tall, shines its light, and trusts that the right ships will see it and navigate by it. This is exactly how we should approach our lives, our dreams, and our leadership. You are not here to plead for people's approval. You are here to stand firm in your truth and let those who are meant to find you, find you. When we live like ships instead of lighthouses, we exhaust ourselves. We run around trying to get everyone's attention, trying to explain our dreams, our decisions, our actions to people who may never understand. We waste precious energy chasing validation instead of radiating certainty. And the harder we chase, the less powerful we appear. Because true influence never comes from chasing. It comes from standing. A lighthouse doesn't argue with the darkness. It doesn't panic when the seas are rough. It doesn't dim its light just because some ships steer away. It keeps shining, unwavering, because it knows its role. It knows that its very presence is saving lives, guiding paths, even if it never hears a word of thanks. It shines because that's what it was built to do. Similarly, when you embrace your own calling, your vision, your purpose, you have to be willing to stand strong even when people don't get it. You have to trust that your light, your authenticity, will draw the right people toward you. Not everyone will be your audience. Not everyone will applaud. And that's a good thing. Trying to be everything to everyone is the fastest way to dilute your light until no one can see it at all. You were not made to convince every passerby that your mission is worthy. You were made to shine in a way that naturally resonates with those who are meant to walk your path with you. Some people will be inspired, some will be confused, some will criticize. Your job is not to chase them down and explain yourself until they agree. Your job is to keep shining so clearly and confidently that those who are ready to join you will find you and find themselves in your light. The truth is, chasing people's understanding will only leave you frustrated and empty. No matter how carefully you explain yourself, some people simply won't get it, not because your vision is wrong, but because it wasn't meant for them. They are steering their ships elsewhere, and that's okay. It's not your responsibility to reroute them. It's your responsibility to stay anchored in your mission. When you embody this lighthouse mentality, everything changes. You start to lead without forcing. You start to attract without begging. You start to influence without explaining. People begin to respect you because they see you respecting yourself. They are drawn to the steadiness, the confidence, the unwavering commitment you display. And in a world full of noise, doubt, and fear, that kind of presence is rare and powerful. Standing like a lighthouse requires courage. It's much easier to run after approval. It's much easier to dim your light so you don't make anyone uncomfortable. But comfort was never the goal. Impact was, growth was, leadership was. So be the lighthouse, shine boldly, stay steady, let people come or go as they will. Your power lies not in how many people approve of you, but in how true you remain to your light. Keep standing, keep shining, and trust that the right ships, the right people, the right opportunities will find their way to you. Respect is something many people chase, but few truly understand. They believe that if they explain enough, please enough, or prove enough, respect will be handed to them. But real respect doesn't work that way. It doesn't come from convincing others. It comes from the way you carry yourself when no one is clapping. It comes from self-respect first. Until you deeply respect yourself, you will always struggle to earn genuine respect from others. Self-respect is the foundation. It's the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening. It's the standards you set for your own behavior, not because someone else demands it, but because you demand it of yourself. It's the commitment you make to honor your own time, your own values, your own energy. When you treat yourself with dignity and seriousness, you send an unspoken message to the world about how you expect to be treated. Without self-respect, you are constantly at the mercy of other people's opinions. You bend yourself to fit into places you don't belong. You shrink your dreams to make others comfortable. You apologize for wanting more, and the more you do that, the less people respect you, not because they are cruel, but because you have shown them that you don't fully believe in yourself. Respect is a reflection. It mirrors what you already hold within. We all know people who seem to command respect the moment they walk into a room. It's not because they're the loudest. It's not because they have the fanciest title or the most achievements. It's because they walk with an invisible sense of certainty, an internal acknowledgement that they are worthy, whether anyone else affirms it or not. That kind of presence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from internal standards. When you respect yourself, you stop over-explaining your choices. You stop justifying your dreams. You stop asking for permission to live the life that feels true to you. You simply move, act, and create from a place of deep inner knowing, and others feel that. They see that you are anchored. They sense that you are not easily swayed by fear or criticism. That steadiness, that self-trust is magnetic. The opposite is also true. When you lack self-respect, you chase validation. You seek applause. You try to convince others that you are worthy. And ironically, the more you chase it, the more it runs from you. Respect cannot be begged for. It cannot be demanded. It must be earned, and it is first earned in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when you choose to believe in your own value. Building self-respect requires daily work. It's in the small promises you keep to yourself. It's in the boundaries you honor even when it's uncomfortable. It's in the dreams you protect even when they are fragile. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, courage over fear, discipline over laziness, you are casting a vote for your own self-respect. And every time you do that, you strengthen the invisible foundation that others can sense the moment they encounter you. Respect from others is a natural byproduct of self-respect. It's not something you chase, it's something you attract. When you treat yourself like you matter, you teach others to treat you the same way. When you live your truth without apology, you invite others to do the same. Your life becomes a quiet, powerful statement. I am enough as I am, and I will not shrink to fit into places that cannot hold my light. So if you want to be respected, start by respecting yourself. Hold yourself to a higher standard, speak kindly to yourself, make decisions that align with your values, not just your fears, protect your energy, honor your dreams, be the kind of person you would look up to, and watch how the world around you begins to shift. True leadership is not about speaking the loudest. It's not about constantly explaining, convincing, or trying to win every argument. True leadership is built through quiet conviction, through a steady example that speaks louder than any words ever could. When you live your truth consistently and unapologetically, you teach others more powerfully than if you tried to persuade them with endless explanations. Your actions become your message. Your life becomes your proof. Words can be powerful, but they are only as strong as the actions that back them up. People are far more influenced by what they see you doing than what they hear you saying. They are watching to see if you live according to what you claim to believe. They are watching to see if you embody your principles even when it's difficult, even when no one is watching, even when it would be easier to compromise. And when they see that kind of alignment between words and actions, respect grows effortlessly. It's easy to talk about values. It's easy to post quotes about perseverance, leadership, authenticity. But it's another thing entirely to live those values when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you're misunderstood. The real test of leadership comes not when the spotlight is on, but when no one is clapping. It comes when you choose to act with integrity, even though cutting corners would be easier. It comes when you hold your ground, even though explaining yourself could win you temporary approval. Leading by example requires patience. It requires the willingness to be misunderstood in the short term for the sake of being respected in the long term. It requires you to trust that people are paying attention even if they don't immediately voice their support. And more importantly, it requires you to trust yourself to know that living your truth matters even if no one notices right away. There is something deeply inspiring about someone who simply lives their values without needing to broadcast it. There's a calm power in the way they move, in the way they handle setbacks, in the way they treat others. They don't need to tell you what they stand for, you can feel it. You can see it in the way they show up every single day. And that quiet consistency creates a trust that no speech, no explanation, no flashy display can manufacture. When you commit to leading by example, you start to realize that your real influence is not in how many arguments you win or how many people you convince in the moment. Your real influence is in the seed you plant by the way you live. Maybe people won't change their minds immediately. Maybe they won't say anything out loud. But somewhere inside, you are shifting their perspective. You are showing them what's possible. You are making them question what they thought they knew, not because you argued them into it, but because you became the evidence of a different way. Leadership is not about control. It's about invitation. It's about living so authentically, so courageously, that you invite others to rise up to their own best selves. It's about becoming a mirror that reflects back to people what they are capable of when they stop settling, stop explaining, and start living fully. The most powerful leaders aren't the ones with the most polished speeches. They are the ones whose lives are the speech. They are the ones who don't just talk about integrity, but model it. Who don't just preach perseverance, but walk through the storms with their heads high. Who don't just demand respect, but earn it quietly, consistently, day after day. So stop worrying about convincing everyone. Stop wasting energy on endless explanations. Focus instead on living so clearly, so powerfully, that your example becomes undeniable. Because in the end, people may forget what you said, but they will never forget what you showed them by the way you lived.